Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. Well, here we are back on a Monday at Gigafactory Texas here in wonderful Austin. It's a little bit hot and sultry this morning, but otherwise it was a great morning to fly. Now I got here a little bit earlier to try to see if I could get the video done and be able to watch NASA's SLS and Artemis mission launch for the first time today. However, it looks like they're going to have to delay that launch for another few days. Maybe by the end of this week, we'll see another attempt. So anyway, because I got here early, this gives us a chance to see another beautiful sunrise over Giga Texas and take the opportunity of the lighting and show you some more inside views of what's going on in the factory. Specifically this morning, we start on the west side of General Assembly, a little bit farther north than we did on the previous video. And as you can see through the windows, quite a bit of Model Y battery packs, specifically 4680 structural packs right here next to the window in these crates. You can also see some other crates in the background. This is a close-up view of these crates. You can see that they're marked YSB, which would be Model Y structural battery pack. And here's a close-up view of that. I don't know if these are being shipped in from Kato Road or not, but it is interesting to see. And this image just gives you a different view of that entire interior section. So as you can see, a lot of interesting details. But anyway, these images just give you an idea of what it looks like inside another part of the factory and the progress that's going on with production. There's still quite a bit to see in the video. And again, I will narrate your way through there, and hopefully you'll enjoy the information and the images that I show you as well. I just want to say again, thank you very much for watching. On a morning like this where it's hot and very humid and sultry, just keep all the workers in mind that are doing all the fantastic work out here, because they are just moving mountains to make this happen, and it's just great to see them. But keep that in mind as they continue to work in these conditions. Have a great day, have a great week, and again, appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. A special thank you to all of my outstanding Patreons for your continued encouragement and support. Patreon members get access to hundreds of high-resolution photos, previews of the future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. What a gorgeous morning here at Giga Texas to fly. And as mentioned, I came here early because I wanted to try to get the drone footage and also see the NASA Artemis launch. But the Artemis launch was scrubbed, so that just allowed me to spend more time taking a look at Giga Texas in the early hours of the morning. So let's fly south along the west side of General Assembly. We can see how this area appears at about 6:45 or so in the morning. And you can see how some of these temporary platforms are, the panels for the cargo bays are still waiting to be eventually removed. And there's some other developments further to the south. But let's take this opportunity to look into the third floor of General Assembly here, where we see some very interesting developments with what appears to be quite a few 4680 structural packs for the Model Ys. And they all are in these kind of crates, which makes it possible that they're being shipped in from Kato Road in California while the ramp of 4680s continues here in Giga Texas, or they may be being built here at Giga Texas but stockpiled for a while they concentrate on the 2170 production for Model Ys. I'm really not sure. If you have any ideas or thoughts, let me know in the comments. I would appreciate that. But I'll continue to fly just a little bit longer here on the third floor just to show you the amount of these structural packs that are being stockpiled here on the third floor. You also see some other crates, which is other production equipment that's being installed all along this side of the building. As we pull away, I'll show you the main entrance section, and you can see that they have now begun a reconfiguration of this location as well. Looks like they're putting in the rebar so that they can have the concrete, and probably they will finish up the main entrance staircase area and landing area with some ramps as well. But as you can see with the crews working, a big area that is being prepared with rebar now to extend that concrete along this side. We may see some more cargo bays cut into the doors as well here, but we'll have to monitor that. As we continue to this portion of the structure where all of these cargo bays were cut into the existing walls, you can see that quite a bit of activity now. Here at this ramp, we can see some equipment being brought out, but also Model Ys continue to drive out of this location. At some points, the steel ramp here is used to unload some of the trailers, and you can see the crews here busy installing the load levelers, which is, you can see 6 of them stacked right in front of the drone here. They go into the inset areas that you see being constructed on these cargo bays, and it helps with when the trucks arrive just to raise up, level out, and allow for easier loading into that location. Now, I know a lot of viewers have their own preference on what they want to call them, but the gentlemen working here, the crews, call them load levelers, which is why I call them that. Let's go ahead and continue around the southwest corner of the building to the supercharger section here. What's interesting is we see these trucks with a lot of Model Y painted body parts. These appear to be bumpers that I don't know if these are scrap or if they're being shipped in or what, but they don't look like they're particularly padded too much on these. So, and it looks like they're preparing to haul them away. So I think that these are manufactured here, but for whatever reason, they've decided to scrap these and put them for recycling. But let's go ahead and pull back away from the building to give you an overall view of the south end and how the Model Y production and the stockpiling here on the parking section and also the loading section appears this morning. This also gives you a view of some of the beautiful sunrise over the factory and the status of the south material storage, as you can see here with all of the steel parts and some of the concrete pipes. As we wrap around the southeast corner, you can see that horizontal drilling operation down in the bottom right-hand corner of the photo. I'm not going to spend much time here today since they just are continuing to prepare for that bore underneath the river. But this, you can see more of the trailers in this material storage location, and also the black trailers are where they have the scraps from the stamping that are eventually taken off for recycling. I'm going to go ahead and drop the drone down here. This is an interesting truck with Model Y and 2 older Model 3s. I'm not sure why they are here. It's just interesting to see them kind of pushed off onto the side here. This is a good view of the south material storage. The crane is getting ready to be lifted up and start being used for the day. And this just gives you a variety of the steel parts, most of which we now have seen from my previous video and discussions that's being used for the General Assembly lines 2 and 3 on that west and southwest corner of General Assembly. As I position the drone back towards the north, this just gives you an idea of how the loading operations onto the trucks is going. Still a lot of Model Ys painted in white, a lot of blacks, and we don't see the variety of colors that we saw on the previous video. However, you can just see how this area just continues to be very busy. And also another beautiful view of the sunrise over Giga Texas. The loading platform continues to be very busy with more and more materials being loaded up onto this structure and then moved inside, some of which the cargo crates that we saw earlier come in from this particular area as well. You can see a truck delivering some building materials to the south part of the stamping extension, and I'll try to bring the drone down just a little bit to see inside, to see the work that's going on, but as mentioned, it's a difficult angle to do so, but they continue to work on the ground level, particularly on the right hand side with isolation foundations for some very large equipment that may be similar to stamping presses or other steel or metal manipulating devices, but nevertheless very large and very heavy from what I can see. This view gives you an idea of just how some of these trailers appear in this material storage. It looks like they are all empty at this point in time, which means that they will probably be swapped out with other trucks bringing filled trucks, part of that warehouse on wheels concept. I'll just zoom in here. You can see some of the scrap trucks. The one on the left is that larger truck, and then we have some bins with other scraps on the truck to the right. That's a yard truck, which means it's probably just moved within Giga Texas and then transferred to other vehicles at some later point. I'm going to fly north along this side of the building, and we'll continue to gain some altitude as we get closer to the temporary loading platform and also that apron area where they've been expanding the cargo bays. They have now paved or put concrete into that large location, so progress is now definitely picking up, which is great. You can see some of the crews here working on the recently poured concrete. They'll probably be saw cutting this area soon. You can also see it looks like they're building or working on some sort of water drainage grate trench right in front of the 8 new cargo doors, and I'll just zoom in so you can kind of get a better view of what exactly they're working on. The cargo doors, as you can see, are already loaded in, and those load levelers on all 8 have been installed as well. So this area should be pretty close to being completed soon, and then we'll see if they start using it for deliveries. As I pull back, you'll see that the location here where they have been excavating dirt and using it for the east side grading doesn't look like there's much activity at this point in time in the morning. There is a little bit more going on in the northeast corner, and you'll see that shortly. But what I want to do here is give you an overall view of this side of the site and also take a look at this large section that's getting not quite paved, but it looks like they're putting down material to make this area suitable for vehicles, equipment, maybe even more trailers. So this may be part of that reconfiguration by preparing this section to move everything else over here so they can continue on with the grade and leveling work that we see emerging just in front of the drone. And again, I don't know if this is a foundation or if it's just another large parking lot that will be paved, but this area continues to have a lot of work being done to get the grade overall leveled out and prepared. You can see more activity in that depression area here, and now that they've moved a lot of the materials away, they can continue to work here, and we'll see as they bring in more dirt what they do to complete this particular location. There is that road that kind of goes right through the middle. It is heavily used. It'll be interesting to see how they reconfigure that to allow this area to continue to have that grade work done. So I'll continue to monitor that as time goes on. Now that we've arrived over near where the battery cathode plant is under construction, let's reposition the drone to get some good views of the activity. As is normal with this particular structure, quite a bit of progress going on, and it's at a very rapid pace. So as we approach the building, we'll start looking on the roof section. What you can see is crews preparing for what looks like the beginning of putting the waterproof membranes, and you can see some of the rolls here. and it looks like they're working on the left-hand side here in just preparation for that, but we should start seeing some of the weatherproof membranes installed. You can see the painted columns here. This is that fireproof paint, and the extremely heavily reinforced foundation here, all of the rebar, still preparing for concrete. Now, part of this area may be where they have two large furnaces. One is a furnace that basically prepares the spodumene concentrate 6 material, and then the next one is a calcinator, which further prepares that. Both are very large machines, and I'll cover some more information on that in a future video. But the strength of the foundation and the fireproof paint makes me think that's where at least part of this structure is going to get those devices. As we move forward to the north, you can see this excavation area continues to transform. In the previous video, they were just beginning to excavate off here onto the left, and now they are clearing out a lot of this extra dirt that they had piled up and near where these tree remnants will be eventually mulched. And they are moving it up to this location next to the pond, and it looks like they've been filling in a little bit of the pond and also putting in kind of a divider hill, if you will. So I'm not sure what the plan is, but they continue to bring dirt up into this area. They're excavating some of this around this hill area, and then they're moving it further to the north. So I'll continue to monitor this. Now, as we approach the battery cathode plant again, we can also see another area of excavation right here, and it looks like they're working on this berm near this pond, and they're digging up the dirt and then moving it further to the north, which is an interesting development as well. So the north part of the structure shows rebar work being done on the second and third floors. And as I position the drone around here, you'll see a little bit better view as I zoom in. You can also see the crane is lifting up some equipment to the roof, so you get a chance to see that activity here as well. But what's noticeable is that rebar sections are being installed on this last major area of the second and third floor, and that will complete those for rebar, and then the concrete will flow in just behind that and then finish up the basic construction of these two floors. As we maneuver further to the south, we can see how the activity continues on ground, the second, third floor, and the roof here in earnest. A lot of the materials stored here, some of these concrete vaults that are just on the bottom right of the screen, and we can see this manifold section here with all of these electrical conduit and plumbing pipes, and it looks like they're doing some concrete in that pit as well, and you can see some of the conduit going under the building. This is a group of workers that just finished up their morning calisthenics and just preparing for the work to begin. And I'll give you a better view here of the ground floor. You can also see, it looks like large drywall sections that have been delivered as well. And if that is in fact what the case is, we may start seeing some walls installed at some point soon. And those are those large rectangular pieces of material sitting on the second and third floor. This is a good view of that temporary loading platform that was installed just about a week or so ago, and it looks like they're just about ready to start using it to bring up heavier equipment. I'm going to reposition the drone over the roof to give you an idea of how this progress continues. They're now about 65% of the roof completed with the insulation and the cementitious mixture. What you can see is that they spray a little bit of cement on the steel, then they put these kind of styrofoam insulation panels on top of that, and that kind of glues them down, and then they spray more of the concrete on top of these panels. And this overall gives a very well insulated and strong roof section, and then on top of this will be that weatherproof membrane. Now we've arrived at the electrical substation construction site, and here on the north end we can see these large rebar cages, and these smaller ones here on the right as well. These will eventually be used as mounts bored well into the ground, and they will support more of these very large power poles that we see with the power lines going down the center of the site. Overall, it looks like they just continue to prepare the grade here. Last video I thought they were bifurcating it into two basic sections, but it looks like they brought more fill dirt in, and it's one contiguous section as well. So it'll be just something to watch how they develop this particular site. And we see more of the gravel mix just stored here, some of the concrete pipes, and some of the electronic equipment off to the right as well, waiting for the construction proper to begin. So let's go back to the sort of the east side of the casting machine structure, and let's look at the progress with castings today. Now, there's been some discussion about whether or not these castings are just the rear ones because of use of 2170 packs, or if they're still using front or rear. And I can't really confirm that. I'll just let you draw your own conclusions. But what I can show you is, notice all of these white racks here that are all empty. In my previous video, they were all full. So that just gives you an idea of how quickly they're going through these to manufacture the vehicles, and the casting machines are pretty much ginned up to try to continue to manufacture them to keep ahead of that production rate. Let's proceed over to the solar panel extension that's going on here, that's bridging the gap between the T and the E of Tesla. And you can see how this area is filling in quite nicely with all of these mounts. And also on the sort of the lower section of the E, we can see that the solar panels have now reached that section where they took some of the older ones off. You can kind of see that outline of the bottom of the E. So now that they're this close, once they get all these solar panels in, I'm really curious to see what they do with this bottom part of the E. And we'll find out together, but I'll continue to monitor that for you as well. As we approach the northwest corner, I just noticed some more activity here on the enclosures for the HVAC system. Specifically, the fifth one from the top now is about halfway through being constructed. You can see more of the materials that are present to continue this enclosure and then the next two. And as you can see, workers are busy assembling this enclosure as well. So hopefully we'll see these soon completed, and then the more work will be done on these ductings onto the right-hand side. But while we're here, I'll give you a quick view of the north end of the building and the activity that's going on with these 4 loading platforms. The 2 doors on the ground floor are into the plastic manufacturing, and you can kind of see a little bit inside, but not really a lot of details. And overall, I'll just position the drone to give you a good view of the activity on this end of the structure this morning. And that pretty much concludes the video for today at Giga Texas. I was hoping again that NASA would be successful with their launch attempt with the Artemis I, but it will be delayed either later this week or sometime next week. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I do appreciate it. Have a great day.